How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal in this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading when the price is going up or down. Romanian prosecutors pursue and confiscate 53,000. Andrew Tate has had about $500,000 worth of Bitcoin taken from him. Some people are saying there's a little bit more, so it could be closer to 600,000 worth. But either way, it is related to his human trafficking charges and rape that he received on December 29, 2022. So because of those charges, this is somehow being tied into this case, and they want to confiscate this money. Bitwise is now going to file for Bitcoin ETFs. They have filed, and they're a little different than the BlackRock ETF because they actually have data to back them up. Bitwise filed for an ETF back in 2021, and they were ultimately rejected in June 2022. Friday, they filed for NYSE, that would be the exchange they would be on, for a CME version of a Bitcoin futures ETF. This is different because the BlackRock one they would use like Coinbase or someone for pricing. BlackRock wouldn't be using CME data. Bitwise says using CME data is better because the CME data dictates what the Bitcoin spot prices will be, and it helps reduce manipulation. And they say that this surveillance sharing agreement with the CME should satisfy the SEC's requirements. And they said it did so again in this filing with even more data to back up the case from the CME to show how the CME prices do dictate the Bitcoin prices. Kind of like I'm showing every night on our videos. In BlackRock's case, the listing exchange is willing to enter into a surveillance sharing agreement with an operator of US-based spot trading platform for Bitcoin. So this means that they would have to use a third party. Normally, this would not be enough according to Roy, but he says because BlackRock has such a name, they can use their weight to have this actually work in their favor. But they say the major issue with BlackRock's plan is most of the exchanges that you would get Bitcoin pricing from are being sued by the SEC. The Metaverse is coming to Bitcoin, declares Bitmap Theory. So Bitmap offers a way for individuals to claim ownership over Bitcoin blocks. This is a new kind of standard in Bitcoin. According to a pseudonymous creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, the open source standard could integrate any block into a part of the metaverse. So basically, you can make a block into a piece of land for any metaverse. Not only can Bitcoin block be inscribed, but that platforms can parse the data into a 3D realm and allow users to distribute functionalized transactions to others. This would translate into users building on top of Bitcoin blocks and becoming contributors to the metaverse. So, fake Trezor seed phrase scam for any of my Apple iOS users. If you don't use Apple iOS, you can skip this if you're not interested. But Trezor, the first app when you search for Trezor in the Apple Store, is going to steal your crypto. It is not a app affiliated with Trezor. It is called Trezor Wallet Suite, so report this app if you see it. That way it gets removed from the store as soon as possible, but has already stolen funds from thousands of people. The real app from Trezor is called Trezor Suite Lite. So if you want to use Trezor, make sure you're using that app. Make sure you're doing your diligence using crypto and using the right platforms. Just because something looks like it's right doesn't mean it is. 1.4 trillion banking giant Deutsche Bank files for crypto custody license. Once viewed as a niche and speculative investment, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are now being embraced by traditional finance players that want to tap into the benefits and opportunities. In that context, the latest such bank is Deutsche Bank, which is Germany's biggest lender. This is good because they'll add trillions of dollars into the potential pool of assets that could be managed. If authorized, this will allow Deutsche Bank to provide custody service for digital assets such as cryptocurrency. So they'd be able to hold your coins for you. I wouldn't suggest having them do that because not your keys, not your coins, but it is one route you could get your money, especially if you're already banking with them. Binance issues another cease and desist to scam companies second in a week. So this is the second scam company Binance has taken down this week. This is Binance UK Ltd, UK-based Binance Ltd, which it describes as a scam company that is not affiliated with Binance in any way. This came after someone said, hey, why do you have a company in UK in a broom closet? So that made them say, yeah, that's not us. Binance set to integrate Bitcoin Lightning Network for deposits and withdrawals. Crypto exchange Binance has started running Lightning nodes ahead of supporting Bitcoin's Lightning Network for deposits and withdrawals. This is good for users because the Lightning Network is the layer 2 solution for Bitcoin that offers way cheaper fees, and it'll basically make your transactions on the exchange lower if they're using that instead of their own chain, which has a bit higher fee, but bridging those will lower those fees as well. Still more work needs to be done, they said. They do not have an expected timeline for launch, so we're going to have to wait for this to launch, but this will be very good for any Binance users, obviously after the lawsuit's settled, and we'll have to see what comes of that. Over on our total market cap, we are getting a little bit of a pump away from this bear flag possibility that we had. A little bit of a breakout, so we'll have to see if we continue above it. Our stochastic is running up, RSI is running up, our momentum is coming up, money flow is curling up, our VWAP is trying to head up, but we're still struggling to get anywhere above this 7 zone. So we're struggling to get above. We'll have to see if we can actually break through. If not, we could meet some resistance here and we could just be filling these wicks. Over on the daily, we have reclaimed over 50% Bitcoin market dominance, so everyone's all hyped about that. Our stochastic is starting to get a little bit of a bullish divergence here, even though we're starting to try and make a bearish divergence, so we're trying to push with the stochastic higher, even though we have bearish divergences trying to highlight on the stochastic. But that's because the stochastic really has nowhere it can go. Our RSI is trying to point up, momentum's trying to come up. Our momentum's pretty high in the oversold area, or overbought area, sorry. We haven't really been this high till back here. We did kind of go sideways, and then we did get this pump here. So we could see some sideways action and more another pump if that were to continue. Our money flow is trying to make higher highs. It could start to round out here though, so watch out for that. Our VWAP is trying to curl off the neutral line and push forward pretty strongly, so we are looking decent for a move up. But like I said, everything is pretty overbought right now, so we could be a little exhausted for that move. Over on Bitcoin futures, we are pretty close to filling this gap. You can see that made us jump way up today. Our stochastic is running up. Our VWAP is kind of flat. I'd expect it to be a little more sharper of an incline, but we did open the futures kind of open close a little different than all the other coins. If you look at the timer here, Bitcoin has a significant less timer. So the daily for this has already closed, where the daily for Bitcoin will close in a bit. Our momentum is trying to come up, but it is kind of trying to curl out, so just watch out for a curl down. We have a reversal arrow that signals that our trend could reverse. We are in an uptrend, so that means we could have a downtrend. Our VWAP is looking kind of choppy as well, so I'd be a little cautionary. 1 hour, money flow is maintaining bullish momentum. So until this breaks bearish, I wouldn't expect too much downside, but we could break into this little channel and then possibly see us fall from there. Remember, we do have that lower gap to fill, and even though we have all this good news, if the futures ETFs gets rejected, we could see a lot of money come out, because we did have a lot of money come into Bitcoin, because a lot of people are investing in like the stock versions of the grayscale ETF, grayscale Bitcoin, GBTC, and all that stuff. So Bitcoin, we are trying to push well above our pocket here. We're way above our flag. We have a pretty consistent high with where we were back here. Our stochastic is starting to round out very strongly though, so I'd be a little cautionary of that. RSI is running up very strong, VWAP's running up strong, money flow is in the bullish territory. Our momentum is crossing over bullishly. We can't really see it though, but we are looking decent. It's hard to tell if that momentum's starting to curl or not, but if the momentum starts to look weaker on the lower time frames, then it's likely the daily will start to weaken. Our stochastic is trying to make higher highs on the 4-hour. We are coming up around this resistance and kind of rejecting away from it. So if we don't break through this resistance, then we may not fill that higher gap. However, if we do break through this resistance, we could see that snap to the higher gap and possibly the 30K area, and then maybe that correction back down. Our money flow is coming up very strongly. VWAP's making lower highs and it's pretty flat, so we're medium term is starting to flatten out and lose some steam. So just exercise some caution and watch. Over on the 2-hour, our momentum is starting to curl over. Stochastic's starting to get a bearish cross. RSI is starting to curl over. Our money flow is still well in the bullish territory and getting higher. Our VWAP is coming down, about to test that neutral zone, so watch if it breaks and holds in the bearish territory. And finally on the 1-hour, our stochastic is running down. We have a double red dot here and a red diamond here, so we have multiple flashing signals. Momentum's coming down, RSI is starting to curl, but our money flow is still pressing on. Our VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory. So if this money flow doesn't go bearish, we could continue this move up, but just watch out for the money flow to start to weaken. We are pretty high compared to quite a bit of the last history. See, this is like the last time we were back here when we were in about a 30. We did kind of start to slide away. So right now we are at about a 23. So not quite a 30, but we are getting near that zone. Over on graph, we are trying to push against this triangle we have, so if we do continue with the bullish momentum, we could see a break out of this. Our RSI is trying to push forward, stochastic's trying to push forward, money flow is coming up, momentum's trying to come up. Our VWAP is slightly starting to lose some steam though, so just keep an eye on that. Over on the 4-hour, we do have a reversal arrow with the green dot, so about 80% of the time when we get these, you'll get a decent run up, but sometimes when you get them, you will fall. Like here we got a run up, here we did fall, here we got a little run up, then we fell. So it's not always a great setup, but it is kind of signaling we could get that breakout. Stochastic's trying to push forward, RSI is trying to push forward, but good curl here. Our VWAP is pushing higher, money flow is in the bearish territory on the 4-hour, so if that does continue down and confirm, that would be bad. We are confirmed, but we are just riding under that neutral, so we're not very bearish. Especially since our momentum's trying to come up and break through the neutral zone and push us higher. Over on the 2-hour, the stochastic is starting to curl, RSI is starting to curl, VWAP starting to curl, our momentum is in the bullish territory, but we look like we could start to curl if this other indicators keep curling. We are kind of starting to curl on this triangle as we hit this resistance, but we could easily start to just break through. You know, Bitcoin and our crypto tends to do volatile things. Our stochastic is starting to get a little bit of a bearish cross here, but it's just kind of riding as high as it can, as it really has no more room to go up. RSI is starting to curl, momentum's starting to curl, money flow is in the bullish territory, it was in the bearish territory, it's kind of heading back toward the neutral. If we break back into the bearish territory, we may not reclaim the bullish territory because we are pretty weak and we really can't get much momentum and stay in the bullish territory. So just watch out if that money flow does come out, then we may not see the breakout of this triangle. Over on Anchor on the daily, we are getting a little bit of a push just like everything else. Stochastic's trying to run up, RSI is trying to point up, our VWAP is trying to press higher. Money flow is trying to make a bit of a round here. Momentum's trying to round and come up pretty sharply, so we're pushing away from that red dot that could have formed. Our stochastic is trying to push higher. RSI is trying to push higher. Our momentum wave is trying to press higher. VWAP is making higher highs, but it is starting to curl over, so just watch out. Our money flow is making higher highs, and we do have bullish momentum. So overall, we are still bullish on the higher time frames and medium time frame. Over here on the 2-hour, our stochastic is starting to get a bit of a round and could start to fall. so just watch out. But we could also ride this top line just like everything else is doing. Our RSI is trying to push forward, momentum is trying to curl out, so we could see the momentum start to fall. So just exercise some caution. This is a really high spot for the momentum to be. We don't know. So right here we were at about 103, but the last time we were there, we fell pretty sharply. So just be wary, as that shows the momentum could start to cool down. So just keep an eye on everything if you haven't taken any profits. Our VWAP is trying to head down toward that neutral zone. Our money flow is trying to push higher, so we do have bullish momentum on the 2 hour, but that momentum, or bullish signals I should say, the momentum's looking a little bearish, and the VWAP is potentially coming out and could test that neutral. With those on the stochastic, we could start to see a rollover, so just keep an eye. We could test this line and then make a bounce off our support. So if we do that, then we could continue forward. We do have a double red dot here with our RSI and momentum. Our RSI has a diamond, stochastic's falling, our momentum's starting to curl over, money flow is starting to come down a little bit, our VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory, so I would keep an eye on the next couple candles and watch for that retest and see if that retest bounces or if we break back into our pattern. Over on XRP, we are getting a little bit of an indecision candle to the downside. Our momentum wants to flatten out here, so we're kind of invalidating that green dot. So Stochastic's trying to push forward, RSI is going kind of flat and starting to curl over. VWAP's about to test neutral, but our money flow is running up, so our money flow is still coming in on the daily. Over on the 4 hour, Stochastic does have a bullish cross, so we could get a little bit more of a pump. We are getting that cross just above that neutral zone, so that is good for bullish momentum. RSI is heading up. Our money flow is overall starting to come down. It is getting close to that neutral zone, so watch for it to break bearish. We do have a green dot in our momentum, so that could curl and push us forward and try and help carry the money flow with it. Our VWAP is trying to break bullish as well, so we'll have to see if that can continue to press forward. Our stochastic looks like we could start to round here on the 2 hour though. We do have this green dot and we're not really going very much further after it. Like here we did continue to move. So if we start to curl away from this green dot, we could see some further downside, kind of like this one. Or back like here, we kind of pulled away and then we saw a little bit more of a drop. So that could set us up for more drop if we do set in more red candles here. So just keep an eye on this. Our momentum is trying to come up, but it could start to curl out. VWAP is heading down. We are kind of trying to peak, so just keep an eye on that, as well as if the median turn starts to go bearish, then everything else could start to drag. Stochastic is starting to fall, RSI is starting to fall, our money flow is pushing higher. We did make a bounce off the neutral zone, so that is good for us. Our VWAP is rounding off and getting close to that neutral zone. We are at just at 7, so that's a pretty high point for some of these other waves we've had for our VWAP. Our momentum looks like we are in the bullish territory, but we could start to curl over as this VWAP breaks bearish. Finally, for Algo, we got a pretty good pump for it. We are coming up to our support resistance area for our previous channel again. So hopefully we could break into it and just kind of make a bull flag. That would be an optimal case for us. Stochastic is starting to curl over. RSI is trying to push up. Our VWAP is making lower highs but trying to come up. So that's a little bit of a divergence there on the VWAP. Our money flow is trying to push higher. Momentum's trying to continue higher and come up a little sharply. So we are looking all right. We do have this reversal arrow with a green dot, which when they're together like this, sometimes you'll see downside. So that's kind of inverse of the other one we had covered earlier. Our stochastic is trying to push up, RSI is starting to curl off, VWAP is trying to push higher, our money flow is trying to press higher, our momentum wants to continue higher, so we'll have to see if we can continue some bullish momentum, but be wary if we get some red candles start to show, as that could mean this could drag us lower. Don't know if we have any examples. I can't find any examples. That's a close one. Right here we had one that did work bullishly on the algo, but most of the time when I see those, they do work bearish. What it means is you'll have a reversal, and your now we've lost price. Your reversal will be the opposite of your trend. Our trend was a downtrend. That bullish dot does mean we should have bullish momentum, so those two say we should have bullish upside. But for whatever reason, usually when I see them, they don't work out that way. Our stochastic is starting to round off. Our RSI is trying to push higher. Our money flow is trying to press higher. This is on the 2 hour. Our momentum is pushing higher, but with the VWAP coming down, it's looking like it could start to round off. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is riding this oversold area as much, or overbought area as much as it can. Our RSI is pushing pretty much as high as it can. Might go a little higher, but our RSI is getting pretty high. Momentum's starting to curl over. VWAP's starting to come down. Money flow's starting to curl out. So overall, I'd say this pump may be a little exhausted, especially since it's one of our better performers for the day, and it's been pretty beat down. We may see a little bit of a profit taking, and then maybe another pump if everything continues. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.